Hey, I'm Sith King.
And I'm Sonic Sons.
We're the Rambling Reviewers.
Today we're looking at Raya and the Last Dragon.
Or Rava and the...
I thought it was Raya. For King.
Well, this shows how much I've been paying attention. Anyways, so the...
We're not actually done watching the film, to be fair. It is Raya with a Y. I'm just looking this up. We thought... we started making so much commentary that...
okay, the Y looks like a V in the title.
Yeah, it does. We started doing so much commentary just watching the thing that we thought we might make a progressive review out of this. We'll see how much of this ends up being within the show and how much is afterwards.
Yeah, so basically I'm calling out every cliche moment and, like, picking it apart. Because I gotta be me, you know? Mm-hmm. So it starts off with Raya talking about how once upon a time everything was really awesome. Because no story ever starts out with things were just sucky all over, except for Hercules. I guess Hercules starts out like that.
Everything was awesome.
Yeah, okay. Everything was awesome, and then, I don't know, Hedora-looking motherfuckers called, I don't know what they're called, but they look like purple goo, started showing up, and they turned everyone to stone by stealing their souls or something. I don't really know, and I'm guessing it's going to come up later. But the dragons used their best techniques and powers to fight against this evil darkness because they were killing all the humans, and they failed catastrophically. Only for the last dragon to show up and do the super special awesome technique to seal away the darkness forever and turn the humans back to normal, except that it didn't turn the dragons into dragons because they were still stone, to which I was just like, why didn't you use that first? That seems like it would have saved you a lot of time and effort.
Yeah, hopefully they'll explain that.
I hope it's for better reasons than that. I was stupid.
Yeah. The Dumbest Dragon. It's not a good title.
Look, I'm not saying much, only that if this dragon is replaced with either Toothless or the dragon from Pete's Dragon, I will be very happy.
Always good to get those. I'm not sure we will, but we'll see.
I'm already seeing the How to Train Your Dragon crossovers. They'll be like, she was the last dragon. And then Hiccup and Toothless just ride overhead. Woo! Well, she was the last dragon!
Stealing my thunder. And then the nations all fought over who would get the magic gem. So now they are separate nations, where previously they were not. Wow. Good job, humanity.
Yeah, you lasted all of 10 fucking seconds. Anyways, then we cut to Raya, who's about to steal this magic gem of super duper awesome.
And the way to get in there is watch out for these pressure plates, because these nets will descend from the ceiling. And
you might be thinking that we're going to go on and say some stuff like, and then this trap happens. Like, remember Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, how they had like 3 different traps to get through? Well, apparently they couldn't even get the funding for that in this one.
Yeah, I can only assume Disney's really trying to be family-friendly here, because it's just nets. It looks very much like you cut yourself out of the net. Her way to get past it is to send her little armadillo-ish friend to hit the buttons for her, and it's so short that it doesn't get caught by the nets.
But then we see Raya walk on her belly, crawling forward, and
she also gets under the nets, so I don't know that the armadillo was ever necessary.
Yeah, you could have just used a stick.
Or just crawl, and then watch the nets come right over your head and just don't flinch. There,
I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt and say that the nets are poisoned or something. But wait, but there's another problem that I have with this scene, in that, isn't this like the most important thing in the history of ever? Why don't you have like about 1,000 guys constantly on guard duty? Because, I remember Kung Fu Panda when Tai Lung was strapped down by pressure points in his back, immobilized from every single orifice and limb, was like held down with huge boulders. There was literally 1,000 rhino guards constantly on patrol at all times, wielding weapons of war with huge crossbows and siege weapons pointed at him if he so much as twitched funny.
Can you imagine if that was the end of the villain? Like, we kept him in prison for 50 years, but then one day he twitched funny and someone just shot him, and I guess he's dead now. Never mind.
Okay. Oh, and it gets better because there's like a whole set of levels that you have to go through. The elevators are watched by the guards to make sure that if something happens, they can obviously cut the rope. But there's also dynamite on the ceiling to cause a cave-in to kill Tai Lung. That's just a guy who broke some shit and punched some people. This isn't the thing that cured cancer for these people. I'm sorry, but okay. I was gonna say Kung Fu Panda should not exceed you, but that's wrong of me to say that because Kung Fu Panda is awesome, and the scene of Tai Lung escaping was really great.
Yeah.
But okay, so Raya breaks in when she even says this is too easy. Admittedly, the film does look really good, and it's shown there's like a river going up the set of stairs to get to the pool of water where the secret the secret gem is.
Yeah.
But then, the greatest obstacle of all shows up. One whole guy! And he's like, no, you will not set a single toe on the sacred inner circle island thingy. And they fight, and they fight, and they fight, and they fight. And, he, tags her, but then she reveals that, oh, turns out that I got my toe onto the island, so I win! Except he didn't, because he'd still be dead, so... Oh, congratulations, the intruder got his foot on the island. That must mean we failed. Yeah, but did he take the gem? No. And then, we paused it for a second. I said, okay, calling it now. This guy is the king or the chief or whatever, and he's also Raya's father. Then he was like, I am glad to be your chief and your father. Okay, it didn't happen exactly like that.
It was very close, though.
But I've been just pointing out these things over and over again. So, you had a scene where you've proven that you don't have any guards or stealth for this place. It's defended by an inadequate number of traps. Your only guardian is, the king of the entire place who, I don't know, when thieves are trying to steal the most important thing in the history of ever, maybe the king should be doing something other than personally defending this thing.
He might have stuff to do. It's true.
Okay. And then he says, okay, Raya, you've succeeded. But she didn't succeed.
She succeeded at a very technical point, which apparently they're willing to honor that. I don't know.
Yeah. And then we learn that all the other nations are coming here. And these nations, Raya knows nothing about them other than that they have warriors that are apparently all assassins except for the one tribe with axes.
Yeah, those are the pacifists, I guess.
It's sad that we're saying that about the people with axes.
Right.
Who live in a frozen bamboo forest, which that's not how that works,
Not how bamboo
I don't think.
works, but okay, whatever.
Okay, granted, I don't know much about bamboo, but I'm pretty sure that it's like tropical to subtropical.
That was always my impression.
And also, if it's frozen all the time, then it can't grow. But then again, I think this is
there
all...
are plants that grow in cold environments.
Right.
Downright frozen.
Okay, well, that's fair. It's just... I don't know. It's the thing about Lion Witch and the Wardrobe that always bugs me, how... Like, the nation is still prosperous after 100 years of winter.
But with no Christmas, because apparently they screwed up all the calendars as part of the spell.
You think someone would have told Jadis, like, you can't make it not Christmas. It's a day. It's a day that happens every 365 days.
Yes. Not counting for leap years, but other than that, yes.
Okay, because that's the thing the evil empress would... That's the thing that's the problem with what I just said. Okay.
Anyway, so she's like, so what are we going to do when those guys get here? Are we going to kill them all? And it's meant to be kind of funny, but think about it. If one of these people is being highly naive, either her dad, who's like, let's just be peaceful and give them soup, or she is like kind of murderous. I don't know how to take this.
So you have a guy who's like, we need to work together in harmony. I'm calling it right now. He's going to die first to show Raya the consequences of being so super bloodthirsty. And he's going to die to the treachery of one of the other nations.
Do you mean like Raya being bloodthirsty will end up inspiring other nations to attack without meaning it?
Oh, I didn't think of that, but that's a possibility too.
Right? Because she said earlier, like, how did the world break? Well, that's,
it's my fault or something.
Yeah, that's when I come in or something. So, like, yeah, she goes to attack a guy she thinks is hostile, but he's not. But now because of the attack, now I am hostile. And then her dad ends up dead or stoned, because that'd be the easy way to bring him back at the end of the movie, right? And then everyone hates each other, and there's a big old war, but somehow the lesson at the end of the day is not going to be kill your enemies first. It's still going to be we need to get along. And dad was right, even if he was partway wrong. I don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know. Right now we're looking at him just ladling some soup. We don't know yet. So
Yeah.
we're gonna pause this.
All I'm
and
saying
get
is
back to
that he's just the uber ultra pacifist, and we've seen this trope before, that peace will overcome anything.
But first, there'll be a bunch of action sequences.
Yeah, I'd love it if this was just how the movie ends. Like, Raya is inducted, and it's basically just a bunch of UN peace meetings.
Man.
And that's it.
That'd be bold filmmaking if you could pull that off. Very unlikely in this scenario. All right, we're going to stop it now. Bye.
Okay,
All right,
we're at...
34, 36.
Okay, so, in the immediate aftermath of us dicking around for a while, all the other human tribes come, and naturally, because this story doesn't have an ounce of subtlety, all of them begin to argue immediately as soon as, they come here.
They're all mad at the Heart Tribe for having the Dragonstone, because supposedly it brings them prosperity.
Which
it doesn't, apparently.
But we don't know. The only people whose word we have of that is the two people who, might believe that, but we don't know if that's true.
I guess, yeah.
We have two people who are bound to traditions, so they might believe that, we just have the Dragonstone, but we don't actually have proof of that. The Dragonstone could actually be providing them with prosperity.
Right, it's briefly mentioned that the Fang tribe, which, by the way, called in advance, there'll be two tribes that matter, ours and someone else's, and yes, turns out it's Fang is the other one that truly matters. But we will visit the other ones, apparently. Fang has a lack of rice, it was mentioned. I'm taking that one to be fact, even though it came out of the villain's mouth.
Yeah, because, so Fang has, like, a little girl that looks like Sombra from Overwatch.
She's got the hair.
Yeah, and skin.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I'm not gonna say Sombra unless she has at least two features that match.
Okay, I don't know a lot of people with that hairstyle, so it just stood out to me.
Yeah, okay, but she has the skin and the hair, and she looks kind of like a young Sombra. And she befriends Raya, by which I mean says, "Hi, I like dragons too. Hi, we're best friends now. Let me show you this sacred treasure that I stole from my people. Oh, that's a pretty picture that you probably could have just made a reproduction of and not taken the actual fricking..." Look, I'm just saying that, if you wanted to make a couple bucks, you could have copied this picture and sold it in the marketplace or something.
So, the great dragon Sisu supposedly is still alive and fell asleep, I guess, after making the gem and drifted down the river. To which specific river end, though, we do not know.
Yeah, and because it was 500 years ago, and we know that rivers never change their course, and geology is always static, we know for a fact that that's not a river that doesn't exist anymore.
We're good.
Yeah. Except it's all in canyons, so actually this could actually work. So, okay, I'll give them credit. They were in the rivers were in canyons, and so they weren't going to shift a whole lot over the next couple centuries. But at the same time, I'm still calling it, a little...
Well, what's more a little strange is how Raya says, "Hey, can I show you something really cool?" and brings her over to where they keep the dragon gem, and then the other kids immediately like, "I'm evil, and I'm here to steal this thing." It was like, I called that like 10 seconds in advance.
Why did you have a flare on you or were you brought specifically to get into Raya's confidence? What would have happened if Raya was not suited to be, like, a guardian of the Dragonstone, and it was, like, some 30-year-old dude?
Well, what was the point of the flare? Like, I guess maybe the idea is that the location of the Dragonstone is unknown, and what's-her-name's supposed to find it, and then shoot off a flare to tell everyone, come over here and get yourself a Dragonstone.
But at the same time, by the time the flares launch, we already see several enemy troops going up the pathway to get into the Dragon Temple. And we see how worthless those traps we mentioned earlier are, because they didn't stop frickin' anybody.
No, they did not. Also, a flare is probably not going to be so useful if, say, the thing was in a room with a ceiling.
Yeah.
Guess you leave the room and then shoot off the flare.
Wait, so you have all these traps for a room that's... Okay, this is like in The Simpsons when Monty Burns is going through to this super secret bunker, and he gets through all of these high-tech security where he does a palm scan, an eye scan. There's like a 2-key system with Smithers, and then he gets to the bunker, and there's like a screen door that's battering open and closed in the wind, and there's a stray dog that's wandered in. That's what this is like.
A little bit. I mean, at least it's a ceiling entrance. Those are hard.
Something I didn't think about in the moment, but like all the tribes go straight to where the gem is. So they followed the Fang tribe there.
I guess.
And, isn't this the capital of Heartland? Don't you have an army?
Maybe?
Why is there no army in the capital?
There's just this one guy, just the chief. He's the only guy we have.
But everyone's like, yeah, let's go get the magic stone. And the chief is like, no, I believe we can still do peace. And then someone shoots him in the leg with a crossbow. And so because he falls down, everyone rushes to grab the Heartstone, and in the struggle, it breaks. First off, why would you have... This is why I said you should have had a glass wall in front of it.
Right.
Second, why did you make the thing that protects from the end of the world made out of something fragile? I don't want the thing that unleashes a literal self-replicating army to be able to be broken if I trip. Also, this place is apparently built on a fault line because a huge crack opens up in the room the instant that the gem is broken, and then demons start showing up.
Yeah, the Droon, I think they're called.
And the Droon, okay. You know what I think of the Droon? They're kind of uninteresting looking.
They don't have faces, per se.
They don't really have features. They're just a cloud that they're kind of a watery cloud that constantly glows purple and black. And
I mean, it's kind of cool. It just can't emote is my problem with it. So it's a little hard to connect on a dramatic level.
It's also something that I can't... Like, it doesn't draw an image into your mind that's easily recognizable.
It doesn't have
it's
like
just
a silhouette that you can land on, yeah.
Okay, Star Wars. If you see a stormtrooper in its armor, that's something easily recognizable. It's why even in the prequel and sequel trilogies, they still kept guys in black and white armor around with very little, and you can clearly see the evolution of it into the Stormtrooper armor and then into the First Order armor. It creates a sense of continuity with this very clearly visible, distinct
image.
Yes, it's something that you can connect instantly. And the problem is that thus far I haven't really seen something that's
is as iconic as that.
Yeah. Okay. I'll get to that soon.
So the people rush the gem because I'm going to say this again. The one guy who is guarding the thing can be felled by a single crossbow bolt, it turns out. That's your great security system right there.
Yeah.
And it's not even like Raya could have disabled or avoided the traps on her way in when she was bringing her friend in, but like everyone else, I think, would have just stepped on these dang traps that we established in the first scene.
Yeah, did they just not reset those?
They just turned them off or something?
But anyway, the Droons show up and they start turning people to stone. And then the dumbest human in this entire film, and that's saying something, given the astounding mental displays we've seen so far. He runs up to a Droon with a crossbow, shoots the Droon at point blank range, and instantly gets turned into stone. Okay. Let's start with the fact that you have a crossbow, aka a distance weapon. It is a weapon specifically designed to go, okay, I'm standing over here, and someone I want dead is over there. I don't want to go over there. I have an idea. Bang! That's not the sound a crossbow makes, but you get my drift because
Twang, I guess.
Okay, twang. There. They're dead. I'm over here, and I don't have blood on my shoes. Why would you go point blank to someone, particularly a glowing monster, and shoot it point blank with a crossbow? It's not a shotgun, and this is not Halo. You're not gonna get Kilimanjaro by or Killionaire by going, don't worry guys, I'll take care of this with my SMG and my shotgun. But no, he's
yeah. Then everyone flees.
But
they pick up pieces of the gem because there's exactly 5 pieces, as it turns out.
Yeah, you'd think that there would be like dozens of pieces with like lots of little bits lying around, which is a point that even Transformers Animated got when the Allspark was destroyed. They eventually said, "Oh, okay, right. There's still like lots of little dust, and we have to gather that up too."
Every tribe gets exactly one piece, also. Very convenient, plot-wise.
And then everyone runs for their lives out from the city because the Droon are there, and apparently they double every time they turn someone to stone. Also, anytime that they touch someone and turn them to stone, they're immediately posed in a position of holding out their hands for water or something.
Yeah, that's like a classical Buddhist pose, I want to say.
Okay. Why does the Droon do... Okay, there's two possibilities here. Either the Droon were like, we shall suck out the life force of these humans. Oh, but make sure that when we freeze them, they're going to be in this classic Buddhist pose. Because honestly, most monsters I know don't go, yeah, you know, this is good and all, but we need to respect the local religious traditions.
Mm-hmm.
Or the people were like, now I could keep running, or I could assemble myself in a Buddhist pose. And this is everybody who gets turned to stone. We see random people on the roadside. Soldiers who were stupidly trying to point blank attack the Droon. No, my attack was stupid. Better get into the Buddha pose.
Yeah, it would be more evocative, I think, if they were all frozen in, you know, poses of fear and running away and even trying to fight back and stuff.
You know what? I'm going to damn this movie by giving it the worst comparison possible.
Oh dear.
You know what series did this? Power Rangers!
Did they?
Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, the origin starts with a bad guy removing some magical doohickey, and then everything starts turning to stone, and people get frozen into stone statues. And they get frozen in poses of running away.
Hey, it works for us.
Congratulations! You have put less thought into this than Power Rangers. Okay, but...
you know, I mean, like, imagine if, say, the Droon had, like, an ideology and stuff, and there was a sort of, you know, a Knight Templar type of deal that was, we shall remove free will to make people more pure and perfect and stuff. And then it could be like, yeah, they're making people do that because that's, like, aesthetically pure from the villain's perspective or something, you know?
Okay, yeah, but...
And that'd be kind of creepy, too, to have a villain that has, like, psychology to it instead of being kind of a zombie plague, you know?
Yeah, also the problem with the Droon is, again, they lack any features. They're just kind of angry purple bubbles.
Yeah, they feel like agents of the plot a little bit too much, huh?
Not just that, but, like, we can't really get a sense... Okay, each of the different nations that we've seen so far have their own unique quirks and traits. Granted, most of these are just stereotypes so that we can easily say this is the nation that had axes, and this is the nation that has cats, and this is the nation that blah, 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 blah. But, like, you could tell things about them. Like, the frozen people, they had a woolly mammoth, and they have fur, they wear furs, and their people don't have no shirts. They wear, shirts, like, their outfits are fairly concealing, which tells us a lot about their environment and culture. Okay, well, at least tells us some details about their environment and culture.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that, you know, that's perfect or anything, but, like, the Droon, you can't really tell anything other than they're evil.
Yes, that is true. And they don't get to talk either. I'm thinking, to make a comparison to the other Asian Disney epic, Mulan, which has a dragon, by the way. I'll get to that. You know, okay, the Huns were definitely evil, but just the fact that they had a few lines and were, like, making plans and stuff made them feel a little more real.
And more dangerous, too.
More dangerous.
Because, like...
Remember, like, now all of China knows you're here, and he goes, good. And you're like, okay, so he has that element of he wants to brag about this shit. You know, he's lording over his victory. It gives him a personal element that the Droon so far at least don't have.
Exactly. But as everyone's fleeing from the Droon, we see people getting attacked by the Droon on the bridge. Although I think what is in an animation error, we can see people who the Droon apparently skipped behind the Droon also running. So, like, the Droon are picky eaters or something?
I didn't see that part. I have no idea.
No, there were several people behind them, clearly still moving, not stone. So it's like, what, are none of you going to jump off the fucking bridge?
Can you imagine if you just have, like, a high cholesterol content, the Droon won't cake you, and then you're like... Only the people with bad diets survive the plague. Okay. Anyway, so then the dad decides he has to die because we predicted that. You did specifically.
Too pure for this good world.
Yeah. Well, he's like
sinful world. Sorry.
Yeah. So he's telling Raya, look, you are the guardian of the gem. You've got to figure this out.
Because she's done a bang-up job so far.
Yeah, and he throws her off the bridge into the water so she can escape because the Druun are repelled.
And then he goes into the... And then Buddha pose!
And then Buddha pose. In the time it took Tim to say all that, it feels like they both could have jumped off the bridge. I know he was wounded, but, you know... It might work out for you. It's a little vague, is what I'm saying.
I mean, it's not as bad as, Killdozer, where there was a guy who basically saw the bulldozer coming at him and then closed his eyes and prepared for death. But like as Phaelus pointed out, even in the time where you closed your eyes and prepared for death, you could have gotten away from the bulldozer because it's a bulldozer.
It's a really dumb movie, though. So yeah.
Also, the Druun aren't very fast. They're like slow-moving bubbles of turning you to stone, except when they're not.
Yeah, it's a little inconsistent. So it's 6 years later, and she has checked every single other tributary river ending. Speaking of which, don't rivers typically go to the ocean?
Or like to ending in a swamp, or lead into something else? Or why are they going inland?
I mean, we don't know how the continent is shaped, if it's inland per se, but...
I guess I'm...
But, like, the end of the river would imply getting to the ocean, most rivers, right?
Yeah.
So maybe she's been to the ocean a lot, I don't know.
But Raya's goes to this boat that's kind of T-boned at the end of the last river, and she enters the boat, and she puts out all this stuff, and she starts praying to the last dragon. And then the water starts doing weird stuff, and then the dragon pops out. And the dragon...
I mean, when the dragon showed up, you first said, oh, wouldn't it be cool if we had, like, a Mushu? And it turns out we kind of do.
I'm not sure how I feel about the dragon.
Yeah,
She feels like she's not going to be a timeless character. She feels more contemporary.
Yes.
Like, she's going to feel dated in a few years.
I was actually going to talk, too, about how, like, Raya herself is using some contemporary phrasing and everything. And, like, so is the dragon. And compare this to, say, Aladdin, who is obviously speaking English and all this. But, like, seems to be set in his time so that the genie can be the one who, like, references, Jack Nicholson and stuff.
Yeah, but also the genie is an nearly omnipotent person.
But what I'm saying is if you want to sense a place, you need people that belong to that place. And granted, it's not like she's talking about reading magazines or something like completely out of place. But some of the phrasings and expressions were like, okay, so you seem kind of more modern than Mulan felt by comparison.
Yeah.
And like, okay, is everyone gonna have a little too modern going on?
But the problem was that I felt Raya kind of fit into the world. She's a sassy Disney protagonist to show that she's not like those girls who get kidnapped and then have to wait in the castle for Prince Charming to save them. Which, okay, I appreciate that. But Raya still felt like she fit into this world.
Okay.
This feels like trying to do the genie, but without having
Robin Williams to make it work.
Okay, well, it's not just that Robin Williams. The genie was clearly someone who could time travel, or like he mentioned going to Disneyland which has led people to speculate that Aladdin takes place in the post-apocalyptic future.
Oh God,
I'm not kidding here.
I never thought of that. Okay.
Well, okay. The other time travel theory that I love, that Jack from Titanic is a time traveler who meant to have the Titanic sink because
set the timeline right or something.
Yeah, because he mentions the formation of a lake that wouldn't exist for another 5 years after the boat sank.
Jeez, the preferred theory I have for Titanic is that Rose was actually lesbian, and Jack is short for Jacqueline, and she's telling the story wrong on purpose, because even as of the modern day, they're not quite up on gay rights yet.
Why is it that I can accept the time traveler one easier?
I know, there's a neat idea, because it's all in a frame store. She should be lying about the details.
Okay, then why didn't she tell her kids about the sex car?
I forget about the kids. I don't know. I just heard this theory on the internet somewhere.
And then Jack started to rail me in the backseat. No, Grandma, no!
Anyway.
But, okay, so... But, yeah, the dragon character feels... She doesn't...
Sisu, was it? Yeah.
Sisu doesn't... She mentions, like, okay, you ever have a group project, and then and then you have one kid that doesn't contribute and only helps by handing in the project. That was me.
Mm-hmm.
And which, okay, Robin Williams, the genie, we're getting that. Okay, we've mentioned that, but again, she just...
Well, I think maybe what you're getting at is the point I was going to get at, which I was thinking about after we paused it, which is where the emotional stakes of, for instance, the rest of my species has turned to stone. And things did not work out the way I hoped for. And, like, maybe I feel sad and like a failure and all these other things.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing she says when she's released is, where are the other dragons? They should have been released from stone by now.
And then we explain that it hasn't worked. She's like, oh, like, that's kind of annoying or something, but it's not a big deal. It's not like she needs to be comforted in all this.
Yeah, and then she goes like, yeah, I can't help you that much, but I'll help you anyways, because I don't really know how this stuff works, but I'll try my best.
Yeah.
But she doesn't have the... Remember Avatar: The Last Airbender, how they kept the genocide of the air nomads from Aang because they thought it would be too painful for him? And then he found Monk Gyatso's corpse in a pile of Fire Nation armor?
Mm-hmm.
And you know how he went, like, absolutely nuts and, like, nearly destroyed the entire temple going into the Avatar state because he had a hard time processing the fact that he was the last of his people?
Yeah. This could have been a very different scene where Sisu finds out, or perhaps can just, like, sense through magic, like, oh, wait, no one else is here, and then gets depressed and, like, hides in the cave for a bit, and, like, Raya has to coax her out, like, look, we can make this right, you know?
Okay, maybe make her start off as, like, the peppy, upbeat character, because, like, that's who she was before she got sealed away for some reason.
Yeah.
But then, like, have her just feel like she gets hit in the head with an anvil. Just like holy...
Like, she understands the...
PTSD stuff.
No, you know what? She goes out exploring to go find her friends and takes Raya with her, who's, like, trying to catch up and explain shit, and they run into a stone dragon, like, 100 yards from the place. And she goes, holy heck, why is this like this? And has her little panic attack right there, right?
Yes.
See, that'd be very visual. It'd be shocking to her. It'd be instant proof.
Actually, I thought of a counter-argument to that.
Yeah.
Remember when we were meeting all the people, and then there was those 2 snake statues I mentioned? Well, Eastern dragons tend to be more snake-like, so what reason would she have to suspect that it wasn't just a dragon statue?
She recognizes her friend from forever ago.
Okay, that's fair. Let's do that.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, those emotional stakes kind of swept aside. Now we're just gonna go on a fun little adventure. Hey.
And they go to this secret place that Raya somehow knows about.
Yeah, that was unclear.
She just goes there, and it turns out that it's booby-trapped. But, like, it's booby-trapped to the nines and in ways that don't make sense.
I mean, does the Tail Tribe still exist? Was, like, this the last member of the Tail Tribe who had the gem? Because if somebody else exists in the tribe, you think you would give it to them before you starve to death.
Yeah, okay, so... But, no, even that doesn't make sense. Because, okay... They go in, and Sisu is making all sorts of funny comments, like I'm really, really good at swimming. I shred through the waves, you know, and I'm really good at...
Takes like an overly long joke there.
Yeah, but, okay, they get through all of these booby traps, and then they get to the leader of the Tail Tribe, who's a skeleton at this point. Except someone's booby-trapped the skeleton in such a way that, like, you have to make sure that the weight of the gem being removed doesn't make the skeleton's arm go up, which then drops like a ton of dirt on the entrance to the plate.
Once again,
to
with
this
these
chamber.
strangely non-lethal traps.
Yeah. But here's the thing. How did they set up that booby trap if she was... Who set up the booby trap with their own leader and the most important thing ever? And if so, how come no one's here guarding it? We didn't see any statues in the Buddha pose lying around.
Yeah.
We didn't see anyone, like any outposts or like people with binoculars or telescopes or whatever.
Just good eyesight, just looking at people.
So, you know, okay, they get over there, but the trap that it sets off doesn't even target the area where the jewel is. You'd expect it would set off like an explosion that blows up the entire area or something, or drops like a rock the size of the Kennedy Space Center on top of them.
Nice job of engineering lifting that rock.
Yeah, okay, but the traps work because the plot says they do.
Yeah.
But instead it drops it at the opening of this place, which for some reason, which is fortunate because then the Sombra looking girl from earlier shows up and she's like, Yeah, hi Raya. I was afraid you'd become a crazy cat lady like me.
Which doesn't make sense as a line. She's either bragging about being a cat lady.
So we should mention that she brought a bunch of guys. Okay, the
They're
somber guy
riding
was
on giant
foreshadowed. She was following Raya earlier, and they're riding a bunch of cats.
Right, which are pretty badass cats, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But either she's bragging about being a cat lady, or she's insulting Raya. But she can't do both of those in the same way at the same sentence.
But earlier, like, one of her mooks said, okay, well, Raya can't have survived out here. There's lots of Droon, and she's probably dead. I don't think it's worth the risk to get the...
Scroll back from her. The scroll that only tells you things you already know.
The scroll that is a
Sabra.
picture that you have had for years and could have made a copy.
I mean, it's not. I don't even think the scroll was like a map. You know,
It's just a picture.
I think it was just an illustration. So, like, you know what's in there is to the extent you would need to know
You've
it.
seen it. We saw the prologue.
Unless there's like some clues or details in there that we don't know about yet. Maybe
Is
that's
it the
happen.
back of the Declaration of Independence?
Oh my
Does it
gosh.
is this a prequel to National Treasure?
Wow.
But,
Crossover.
like, okay, so it's not even... Okay, I guess it has religious significance. Because if you found the cup of Christ, yeah, it's still a cup. You can still drink out of it. You can say all the same things about it. But it would still hold great religious significance.
Yeah.
So I will accept that it's an important artifact of her people and she wants it back. Fine. Why does she attack the guy when he says, hey, I have a reasonable concern that the one person we're chasing could have been eaten by the soul-devouring monsters that turn people to statues, and think maybe we should turn back because it's not worth our time.
She's a bad boss and a villain. That's
Yeah.
your answer.
Also, she scares the cats for some reason. I don't know.
I don't know. They notice her.
Which I don't think these people have ever met a cat, because I'm pretty sure cats would sell us for corn chips. They don't even eat the corn chips. They just push the bag off the table.
It's a distinct possibility. Anyway.
Well, cats are bastards, is what I'm saying. So they corner Raya, and then they do the line of, I was afraid to become a cat lady, like me, and then the cats roar, and we explain how that doesn't make sense. But at this point, Raya's handed the chunk that was baiting the trap that's weirdly designed to not hurt you at all
Yeah.
to Shizu, and here's where I'm getting the concerns about Shizu, because she immediately turns into a human.
Yeah, that's her. She gets a power every time she touches a gem shard, apparently.
The first time she glowed, and now she turns into a human, which is another problem, because I'm just afraid that they'll just have this unique dragon character with unique movement abilities and skills just be a human for the rest of the film.
Yeah, and or it's just oddly convenient that the next place they'll need to go is a place where it'll be really hard to hide her in her dragon form, so, like, now, what do you know? You got the necessary power to be fine with that.
Also, she's not even having trouble getting around, despite the fact that she's in a completely different body. Twilight Sparkle struggled when she went into the Equestria Girls mirror. I just used Equestria Girls as a positive example! What is wrong with me?
You've come a long way. But the other thing I was going to say is that, remember, they have her wearing a giant hat and stuff because we don't want to attract too much attention. Like, okay, yeah, I understand
Which
that.
doesn't frickin' work, because, well, there's several reasons why it doesn't work. First, the hat is roughly the size of Raya herself. Second, the clothes don't cover up the Dragon Lady at all. Third, the Dragon Lady is blue!
Fourth, though, even more important, after she transforms into a human, Raya says, yes, I found Sisu. She's right here. And, like, gives away the game, and even if that's meant to be a sarcastic confession, why give her that clue at all? Just be like, this is, Sandra or something. This is some random lady. I've never found Sisu. What are you talking about, right? Like,
Yeah. Also, how did Raya find this place? And why didn't she come here before finding Sisu if she knew about it before?
Come to think of it, yeah. Yeah.
Come here first, get
There's
two
also
of the
been quite a
shards.
bit of expo
You're
done
gonna need the shards no matter what you do. And the Shizu thing was kind of a long shot anyways.
Definitely. She was very unlucky for it to be the very last river.
Well, I mean, I
After
guess...
hundreds of rivers, like, what are the odds?
I mean, if it's the last river, it's got to be that one by process of
No,
elimination.
by that, I know, but going from the beginning, she must have chosen which river to go through first, and she kept making the wrong choice every time, until it was literally the last one remaining.
Okay, fair enough.
So, bad luck. Also, movie's been a bit expo dumpy. The first thing we hear about was, here's the backstory to how things were united, and then they fell apart, and then other stuff was going to happen, and then we have to tell Sisu how things went wrong, and then we have to explain to each other that, oh, we got the other 5 plot coupons, we can totally solve the plot. And just a little that. So, alright, I'm gonna leave it there though so we can find out what the frick happens next.
Yeah, also food. So in our typical fashion, we when we say progressive reviews, we really mean we do do something 5 minutes in, then we do something 10 minutes in, and then we do something like at the end of the video.
Yeah, I mean, the ones we keep to actual progressive reviews are the ones that are ridiculously bad, like Avatar live action.
Yeah,
Remember that? That was like every 5 minutes we had something to say. That was so great. In that, it was terrible.
Oh my god. Okay, so, having seen it, it's hard to really put my feelings into words, but this felt like a TV show that was trimmed down to fit a 2-hour runtime.
Yeah, I would say it's a good movie overall. It was better than what I feared from the first 10 minutes. We kept spotting cliches. But in the end, this whole message about trust is actually kind of new to the Disney canon.
Yeah.
It wasn't just saving a princess. Like, I mean, that's old school at this point, but still. Felt like, okay, this is some new narrative material. You know, it is still a little unclear, for instance, like they had to make it so Nanami had to be an antagonist.
That's the somber-looking girl.
Sombra, had to be an antagonist and ultimately come to our side. But she was like never a villain. She didn't have evil plans, is what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Like, she had good intentions the whole time, and I feel like if you could have just said, hey, let's work together to put the dragon gem together, she would have been like, you know what? That suits my goals also. Right?
Right.
Like, there's a communication glitch there that we just didn't make this clear to her.
Okay, so it turns out that at every place that we stop at, we pick up a new bunch of people. Well, person. Do the monkeys count as one person, or...
That's a tricky thing there.
Okay.
We pick up one or more people, depending on how you define.
Okay,
Sure.
well, obviously not from the tail. Did we ever meet the people from the tail? Or is that...
No, that was the booby trap one, but everyone was already dead. Which, come to think of it, yeah, what's up with that?
We didn't get... So, unless, like, that was...
Well, the tail's where we picked up Sisu. You want to be really precise about it.
Right, I guess.
And then we went to the axe place.
No.
Then we went to...
Then we went to that river with the kid... Oh, what was his name? The kid who had the boat.
Kid. Right, but we didn't pick up a gem from him. He was there on the way out.
Right, okay.
Then we went to the boat place where it had, like, the Khan baby.
Yeah, and then we went to the axe place, which had only one guy left. But okay, where did we last leave off? I think we were going...
They were just escaping from the booby trap place.
Right, okay. Turns out that the trap was a little better thought out than I thought, because it was dumping a lot of sand in front of the doorway.
Which you could shovel out, let's be honest.
Yeah, okay, but it's like not like they dumped a cloud of dirt in front of the doorway and they considered, oh, that's it.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
Let's see. Afterwards, they ran for a while until they hit the river. And then they ran into this boy who had a boat, and he was running a restaurant.
He was hyper competent about it. Good for you.
Yeah, good kid. Whose name we probably won't remember.
Boat Kid.
Yeah. So Boat Kid is like super into money, and it turns out that his parents were eaten by the Dralu. What were they? Oh, for fuck's sake. They're the main... Give us a minute.
Starts with the Droon. That's it.
The Droon. Okay. So, yeah, the kid's parents were eaten by the Droon, and so he's all alone now, which begs the question of how he's been managing this boat the whole time, considering...
Really good at running restaurants, I assume. I don't know.
Well, I mean, physically, how is he managing all of this? Because operating a boat takes a lot of strength, and this kid looks like he's 90 pounds soaking wet.
Right. I did like, though, that everywhere they went, everyone's life had been touched by the apocalypse.
Okay,
thank you for not forgetting that story. There was an apocalypse, actually.
Yep. So they go to the next place, which is Talon, I think, or...
Talon was... No, yeah, Tail. Then Talon was the boat place. Yeah, the place I went to. Yeah.
Talon. And Shizu is in human form, and she's like, hey, what if we get a gift for for the leader? We need to trust him to do the right thing. And meanwhile, Raya, who actually knows what people are like in this world, tries something, a little more sane, like sneaking into the place.
And stealing a gemstone.
But before that happens, she gets distracted by a con artist baby and her monkey minions. Which is a sentence that I don't think I expected to say in the course of this show, but, here we are. And the monkeys and the baby become allies. And they help Raya get into the palace where the chief is supposedly there, except that he's been eaten by a droon, and the only person who's there is the flower guy, who talks with a surfer accent and decorates his boss with flowers.
Guess that's a thing over there.
Meanwhile, Shizu goes out into the city and goes, hey, I'll buy things on credit. Which she doesn't understand how credit works because everyone just thinks she's shoplifting. Right. Which I guess technically, if you boil it down to like the most basic form, that's technically accurate, except
it's not.
Because not shoplifting, but like they did get it across. It's just at this point there's no centralized banking authority to...
Right, which is the thing, like I was pointing out, how on earth would you establish credit with these people you don't know? And then the movie points it out too, and I was like, oh, okay, movie is smarter than I thought.
Except that Shizu accidentally lets loose, oh right, we have 2 pieces of the Dragon Stone. And this old lady goes, oh, she's just new in town, and takes her, and it turns out she's the new mob boss of this city, and is using the stone to kick people out of the city where they're eaten by the Droon unless they do what she wants. And Shizu is almost eaten, except that Raya and the baby and the monkeys and the pillbug thing come in at the last seconds, take away the stuff, and get out of there. Shizu is like, oh, how come we can't trust anyone anymore? Except for some reason, Raya's like, you can absolutely never trust anyone ever.
Even though I just made friends with a con artist 10 minutes ago.
And this other boy who we've agreed to trust. And you, who have technically agreed to trust, even though you've demonstrated that you are not competent in the art of magic. I'm not saying Shizu is incompetent. I'm just saying she openly said, no, I'm not the magician. I'm the water swimming lady.
Right.
Dragon. You know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Then they go to...
Spine.
The tribe of fierce warriors and the guys with the axes that I said I liked. And they're... Shizu is like really offended by we can't trust anyone, so she grabs all the dragon stone pieces, runs up to the village city limits, knocks on the front door, and her and Raya are immediately captured by a trap. And then it's revealed that they've been captured by, I don't know, a guy who looks like he could bench press a truck.
Apparently the only guy who didn't try to close combat the Droon.
Yeah.
So the smartest guy in town, actually.
Yeah, he's actually one of my favorite characters just because he looks like he's big and tough, but it turns out that he's got like a really soft center, and he's he's almost driven mad by loneliness, and because he's the last of his people.
Again, the apocalypse touching everyone. I like that.
But at that point, in between those scenes, we had seen Konami.
Amari, dang it.
Amari has approached with a group of the army of Fang.
Yeah, there was a whole deal. She had to recruit, she had to go to her mother, the queen or whatever, to be like, please send the army with me. And she's like, okay.
And they send 12 whole guys!
That's not...
I'm sorry, that's an exaggeration. There was 8.
Yeah.
That's 3 more than you had at the beginning of the movie. If this is the extent of your armed forces, I don't think it's any wonder why... Actually, why is it I don't even know what to say about this.
They have far too many people to be realistic. They have a whole city full of people. I'll recruit 20 of them, and you'll have a bigger army than you have now.
Oh, but what if they don't want to be recruited? Well, there's this little thing called conscription.
Yeah.
And if everyone hates each other as much as you say they do, then guess what? It doesn't really matter if you're a painter. Guess what? You're holding a sword now. But Amari is like, dude, I hate you. Give me the dragon stones and stuff. And Raya is like, I hate you because you ruined the world. And they're angry at each other and they start fighting and I don't know, it feels like there's some sort of energy between them that makes it feel like there's supposed to be a deeper connection. But let's be honest, they've only interacted with each other for a grand total of 5 total minutes of screen time.
Right. So they're totally doing Katara Adora from
Katra, not Katara.
Katra, you're right. Yes, no, Katara Adora
Katara.
is an entirely different thing in probably some fanfic somewhere. Katra Adora, where the antagonist has a deep connection to our hero and is ultimately redeemable, and we can be friends.
Except that I firmly disagree with that.
I know, yeah. The business that Katra went way too far.
Yeah, Katra tried to blow up the Earth, blow up the universe to spite Adora.
Yeah, that's way too far. But the extremities aside, there's the theme we're going for, and that flaw aside, you can do that better in a serial format, when we can spend many hours developing both characters, and even just knowing the backstory of these two, that they had been fighting together as friends for a long time.
Or hell, that Fang and Hart had been like super close allies beforehand, and that part of the reason for this betrayal is because the whole time that Fang was using this alliance to get to the Dragon Heart, and then that makes the betrayal hurt even worse. But it means that Amari or Amara Konami is like, oh, I did what I had to, but I was clearly, super messed up over my decision.
Yeah, this definitely, especially with the episodic nature of going from location to location, easily each one of those could have been an episode or a short arc,
Mm-hmm.
A lot of, twists and turns you could easily bake into a world-spanning plot like this, more people they meet and stuff. I don't know, I get it, but it's true, they had known each other for all of 5 minutes or whatever, maybe 2 hours or something before the big betrayal.
And in the 6 years, they haven't really... We don't know what happened in those 6 years. I bet it'd be interesting to find out.
Apparently they never talked at all, as far as I could tell. But yeah, there's a series right there. Just the 6-year gap. And they never got back to the rice. There was this implication that there is a lack of rice in Fang. Remember?
Yeah.
They were poor, and that's why they needed the dragon gem.
Yeah, except that when we see them, they look awesome. It's like a Crystal Spiders and Togas kind of place. Right. Minbari would feel at home here.
Right. It's only been 6 years under very bad conditions. You think things would have gotten worse rather than better.
Yeah, but everything looks awesome there.
So that's an aborted plot point. Because you're trying to give Namari her reason for villainy, but apparently she just didn't actually have one. They did say, well, we're running out of space. Well, first, I don't know. How are you running out of space? How many babies are born in 6 years? Most people, the population is at least half or less of what it was. So,
I mean, you'd think they'd be telling people to practice birth control just on the basis of...
Also, though, regardless, at their normal population rate, if you're reduced to half, you're not doubling again in 6 years. That's not how math works.
Yeah, it's fair.
I guess they lost more than half of their territory in addition to losing half the people. More details you could get to in a serial format.
Yeah. But anyways, so after the fight, Amari goes back and she's like, Mother, guess what? I didn't
So yeah,
finish the
Sisu
fight.
shows up.
Shizu shows up and she's like, Rawr, I'm a dragon. But for some reason she pauses like she wants to say something to Amari.
Well, Amari's got this teary look in her eyes. She's true reverence for the dragon. She might be the most religious character in the show.
Yeah, but she was trying to murder, Shizu's friend 30 seconds ago. So I get that Shizu is an all-loving hero, but at the same time, it's but you got to take reality into it as well. It's difficult to trust, and you're not going to trust overnight.
Apparently she does, though.
Okay, well.
Yeah. So, yeah, she goes back to Fang and says, Mom, I saw a dragon. And she's like, yeah, I heard.
Wait, how did they know?
She had those 8 guys with her. I presume one of them checked in a few minutes beforehand or something.
So, wait, so the 8 guys, I'm assuming they got off the boat. One of them sprinted to the queen.
I guess. Yeah, you're right. I don't know what else was
Because I don't
Amari
think
was up to.
Well, okay, I know that it says nor rain, nor sleet, nor snow, nor shine, but the post office must be fucking badasses in this universe.
I would like to see.
There's only three things in the world that are immune to the Droon: pieces of the Dragonstone, water, and the United States Post Office.
I kind of want to see a story with a badass postal service now.
How did you get through the Droon? Haven't you heard? I'm a postman.
That would be pretty cool. Maybe they use ravens for communication, like in Game of Thrones.
Okay, fine, but anyway, so they make their way. The group now makes their way with Yang or Yao. Or, I'm sorry, I don't remember name. I've been okay for people who are saying I'm racist for calling him Yang or Yao.
Tong.
Okay, first off, his name was I was close. Second off, I've been calling a character Konami, and he called a character from She-Ra Katara. So I think it's established at this point we're not racist. We just suck ass at names.
Yeah, we always forget names even whatever show we're watching.
Everyone. Anyways, Yao,
Tong.
Tong. See,
Like salad.
Tong joins them, and he reveals that he had a daughter or something, and he reveals that the Khan baby's name is... Oh, screw this. I didn't even remember it.
Noi. Dang it. It was really close.
Noi. And suddenly, when Raya says, we can't trust Amari, she broke the world, and she's bad... Suddenly, Shizo goes, I'm kidnapping you, and I'm bringing you back to Heartland, to the Dragon Temple place.
To the giant donut. The holy donut of holiness.
Yeah. Anyways, and it's revealed that Coinky-Dink of Coinky-Dinks, this Dragon Temple place is the place where she did the thing that banished the Droon before.
I don't think that's a coincidence, because I just naturally kept it where it was already.
Okay.
But I think what's odd is that Raya didn't know this.
Yeah, you'd think that as someone training for being a guardian of this place, you'd
They
know
would've
that.
Passed down the lore a little bit.
Yeah.
Furthermore, she didn't know the other stone dragons are right there. Have you folks never looked around at the walls of this sacred place?
No, she was too busy trying to poke the sacred stone with her toe.
I guess. Okay.
But also that, I don't know, Jesus. I don't know.
So she explains how it all went down. All the other dragons were turned to stone, and her big brother came up with this idea for the gem that I guess was like some fancy magic no other dragon had thought of. And they trusted Sisu to do like the final bit of magic, and so she did, but 10 seconds too late because the rest of her family turned to stone.
Okay, I have a question about this sequence of events. We established that... How did Shizu go from activating the gem to being stuck in a crevice in the wall that has to be summoned with weird artifacts?
That is completely unexplained. You're right.
Yeah, because like she acts like she just cast the spell with the stone.
So she passed out immediately after, I guess?
And then did she...
Fell down the river that went down the side of the donut, I guess?
So she fell roughly a mile down, bounced along the ground until she hit the river, and then it went down the river, apparently hitting every rock on the way there, until she got stuck in a crevice and then just stayed there for
went into some sort of
500 years.
Weird hibernation thing, because magic.
That can only be summoned if you have 2 candles, a brooch with the dragon you're trying to summon on it, a glass of water, and prayer somehow. Look, this is a plot hole, and I want to know the answers of what the hell happened. It's cool imagery, but it doesn't make sense with what you've established.
It does not, I must admit.
But yeah, Shizu starts to
How
emphasize...
did they get to her siblings anyway? They were on a tiny island, remember this? Surrounded by water. Droon are approaching, but they can't get to us because of water. Let's do magic.
Oh, right.
And then, like, suddenly Droon takes the other 4 of them all at once. And you're like, but there was water there. Did the Droon shovel it out or something?
What the hell?
They invent a pumping system, and they're like, dang you, Droon.
No, I'm just imagining the Drew next to them have like a gas-powered pump.
Right?
You have to prime it first. You're just pulling. Don't tell me what to do, Maurice. It's always like this, John. You never read the instructions. Well, if someone wouldn't stop hiding the manuals, I don't hide them, I put them away. You just leave papers out everywhere. Maurice or John, I forget which one I'm talking to.
Sounds like a great little comic.
But, yeah, so, and Raya tries to go, so you need to trust people, because I trusted in my siblings. I'd like to point out, though, that at that point, none of her siblings had tried to murder her.
Yes, that's a very...
repeatedly.
A nice feature to have among siblings, you know, the non-murder. It's important.
Zuko wishes he had that.
Yeah!
But, okay, I get that they're trying to push the trust thing, but honestly, one of the key things of learning is observing what has happened before and then using that information to predict what will happen in the future. That's part of being a sapient life form. I get that they're trying to say that we need to take a leap of faith at times, but...
If we had more time, we can get that into some more detail and hopefully clarify the canon while we're at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what this makes it come across, Shizu's thing of trust, let's trust each other, comes across as a bit naive.
It comes across as a bit random, too, because we had blind trust in the very beginning, and it went terribly, and then we had blind trust at the very end, and it went wonderfully. And I guess it works when it needs to. You know, like, what exactly is the difference here besides just, it's the climax?
In Mass Effect 3, there is a scene where you're trapped on the planet Rannoch. The Geth are upgrading themselves so they'll no longer be able to be hurt by the Reapers. Meanwhile, the Quarian fleet is bearing down on them and getting ready to destroy the Geth once and for all. And Commander Shepard starts begging the Quarians. He gives a speech about how they need to trust for just an hour, just a minute. And this war, the war that they've been fighting for 300 years against the Geth, the war that has cost so many their lives and has distracted everyone from the galactic conflict that's going on, it'll be over. He's begging them to just trust him for just a few minutes to not murder the Geth. And if you're good, he'll succeed. I think that's a better example of like asking someone to trust.
Because the circumstance calls for it. Well, I guess the circumstances.
Okay, yeah, but like, I don't know. There was more emotion put into it. It felt like it came from someone who knew what the stakes of not being trusted were.
Maybe.
For Shizu, it was like...
It was just kind of default.
Yeah.
Though, granted, by the climax, it is Raya who has to do the trusting. So that's what they're trying to do there. It's not just Shizu saves the day on her own.
I'm not saying Shizu saves the day on her own. I'm saying that, I don't know, the moral comes across as questionable.
Yeah,
not necessarily questionable.
Underdeveloped.
A bit simplistic.
A bit simplistic, right.
Yeah.
So...
And it also doesn't help that the person they're asking... Okay, we'll get to that when we get to that, but... Okay. What I'm going to say is that if there was that previous bond, like Catra Adora that we mentioned, in the final scene when they have to trust Amari, then that trust thing could have come back in a much more impactful way because, well, she's betrayed you before, but she's shown she's willing to work to save her people.
I'm thinking Zuko now.
Yeah.
And how he did the whole blue demon thing. And so, like... Without us knowing it was him, he had done some helpful things. And he had some complicated motives for that, but still, you had something to build on. We didn't quite... We really basically had her looking into Sisu's ey's at that one moment.
Yeah,
and kind of the thing.
Telepathy is not among the powers established for Shizu.
Yeah.
There
are at least 6 pronunciations of that name, by the way. We are just wandering among all of them.
Yeah, two more and we get a free sandwich.
Right.
Susan. Anyway, the main cast goes down to Fang, the last remaining city, and the baby and gang deliver a brooch up to Amari's room, and it's the same brooch that she gave Raya at the beginning of the movie to show that, hey, I'm here, I just want to talk, and it turns into a trap, except that it's not really a trap because, like, Amari is super conflicted about what she has to do because she wants to obey her mother's words and bring the dragon and the pieces of the gem back to Fang so that they can bring the world back on their terms.
So they can get credit for doing it, essentially.
Which
is pretty petty of you, Fang.
Well, to be okay, I actually liked this motive.
It was definitely more nuanced than I was expecting. I was like, is the mother going to be the real villain? You know, she's evil the whole time.
Well, no, not necessarily on the mother. I think had a good point. If they bring back everybody now, everyone's going to still be pissed at Fang for blowing up the world, because everyone does blame Fang on blowing up the world.
Even though everyone else was there too, and they all stole a piece of the gem. All y'all. Every one of you got exactly one piece.
Yeah, but they have a good point. That's, you know, Fang got the...
Fang was the first in the room, I guess.
Yeah. So they rightfully blame it. They blame them, maybe not rightfully, but they blame them, and they would band together and kick their asses. But if they were the ones to fix their own divot, that would probably undo the mistake, and possibly project Fang to even greater power. Political and or military, cultural, social.
Yeah.
So I actually liked that. But anyways, Amari is like, no, I have to bring the gem back, and I have a crossbow that I was carrying somewhere on my person, possibly in my ass. Look, she was not carrying it on her back. It was not behind her. We could see the whole area. There was no crossbow. Then they turn around, and she has a crossbow.
It was like a collapsible crossbow. You could hide that on your back.
Yeah, but... so everyone's like, please don't shoot, nobody shoot. And then Raya is like, no, you can't shoot her, and uses the whip sword, and it deflects the arrow right into Shizu's chest, killing her.
Yup.
Oops.
That went very poorly. I liked that twist, though.
You fucked up, dude.
I thought it was going to be a simple, okay, you come here, and it turns out you're ambushed, and, you know, we're all thrown in jail or something.
Yeah, I was thinking that, too.
And then it was that thing from way back when I thought, oh, maybe Raya's bloodlust ends up screwing things over. This is the moment where that happens. Not bloodlust so much as lack of trust, but, you know.
Also, for some reason, killing the last dragon makes all of the rivers start to drain into nothingness.
Yeah, I mean, they've been heavily associated with water this whole time, but...
Okay, she's been heavily associated with water, and only in the swimming aspects so far, which she specifically said.
Also, the water runs backwards and floats in the air aspects, which happened at the gem, too.
Okay, yes, that's true, but I didn't get the sense that it was all because of her. I thought she was just like a hydrokinetic on a mass scale.
Yes.
I didn't think it would go away.
Yeah, the water just evaporates or something. That's weird.
Yeah.
It was also dramatic, though. Suddenly the Droon are everywhere. Ah.
Yeah, because Droon can't cross water, except now they can cross this muddy riverbed. Wait, is it mud made of water?
It's not enough water to bug them, I guess. I don't know.
So why doesn't anyone just grab, like, muddy sticks and just poke them with it? Whatever. Anyways, and Raya knows exactly what to do in this situation. The smart thing. No, wait, the stupid thing. She goes into Fang, marches right past all the fleeing people, and uses her own piece of the Dragonstone to kick make all the Droon that are trying to eat her go away, and engages in single combat with Amari, because that is what is needed at this moment.
She's mad at her for wrecking the world again, I get that. What I don't get quite as much is how the geography worked out. They were in the same location. Did Amari go all the way back to the palace, and then Raya started walking that way, and catch up to her?
Yeah, I guess so.
But, like, you know, you could have caught up to her way earlier if you ran.
Yeah.
She was walking up those stairs. It's like, I know you want to make this dramatic and all, but, like...
Admittedly, you know, Amari had a pretty good reason to be pissed as well, because, you know, her mom just got nommed by the Droon. But everything in the city is collapsing, which I pointed out multiple times. Why is the city collapsing?
I don't know.
The Droon are not physical attackers. The Droon do not have siege weapons. They do not have battering rams. They just attack people and eat their spirits or their souls or whatever. Why is the city collapsing? There is no reason for... Okay, now I can buy if, like, some of the places were being held up by underground reservoirs. Sure, they could, like, start collapsing inwards. Why is the palace collapsing? There's, like, chandeliers that are falling from the ceiling. There shouldn't be any problems.
Yeah, I think it was meant sort of like all of nature is having a problem, and so there are earthquakes in addition to lack of water going on, and probably something to do with wind and fire at some point too. And again, in a serial format, we could have established that maybe the dragons were the authors of,
Wait,
like...
so you're saying that the problem could be with earth, wind, and fire?
Yes.
Do you remember 21st day of September?
Yep. That's totally what happened.
If the whole series had ended with the last few humans on the planet just bursting out into earth, wind, and fire, and that defeating the Droon, that would have been the best ending ever, and nothing can change my mind.
Okay. But yeah, in a serial format, you could have been like, so the dragons are responsible, or maybe like the stewards of all the natural magic. They keep things in balance, sort of deal. And when the last one is done, then like all the natural forces just go wild. That could have been a cool thing. Had it been previously established, it wasn't, so it's kind of last second.
It feels like the thing in Lion King where, for some reason, Scar being the ruler means that there's a super trout.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, yeah, but I admit Scar was a bad ruler, but unless he has a weather control device at Pride Rock.
Right. That's just the whole Fisher King thing.
Yeah,
so.
which is dumb, but I mean, I get where it comes from, but I still think it's like, it's really not his fault. I mean, he might have overhunted, but, you know,
what
again, unless he's capable of controlling the weather.
He ate all the clouds.
He ate the clouds.
Got some stuff off the side. So we have the big fight, well choreographed and everything. I will make a minor note that, and I kind of got used to it as the movie went along, but the characters have this over-expressiveness about them.
Oh, yeah.
Where they move around a little more than an actual person would in a circumstance. Like, tilting my head and this and that. Okay, whatever. Just their art style.
But then the main characters come back, and they each have a piece of the Dragon Stone, and they're, like, trying to save all the people and get them outside.
Which is nice.
Outside, where the Droon are.
It's a good point. What the frick were they doing?
Yeah, and where are they running?
From this place with Droon to that other place with Droon.
Yeah,
I'm sure that'll help.
What was the plan here? I get that in the short term they weren't really thinking about the long-term solution, but yeah, this plan kind of sucked.
Yeah, there was nowhere safe from the Droon, so they should have told everyone to bunch up together and we'll like make a ring around you with Droon stones.
Ring around the rosy, pocket full of posies, ashes, ashes. The Droon kill us all.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Okay, but then the fight gets out and the fight ends and Raya goes and
she's defeated, but she's like, "Look, just do what you want to me," and she's kind of pitiable.
But of course she doesn't die, you know. So everyone eventually goes out into the courtyard and they have their own pieces of the Dragon Stone and they're trying to defend off the Droon, but turns out that the Dragon Stone without any dragons is kind of dying. Which means it's flickering in brightness, and it isn't as effective against the Droon anymore. So, and then
come to think of it, is the Boat Kid technically from Tail?
Yeah, I think so.
Symbolically, it should be one stone per region, and they are in the end, aren't they? Okay.
And then, like, the main characters all fall into an underground chamber that apparently...
to stand underneath the palace.
Again, why is it collapsing?
Drama. Basements.
So, and then, like, they're all like, oh no, we're all gonna die, and then Raya's like, wait guys, Shizu was right. When Shifu decided to trust in her brothers and sisters, then Shinzo was like, we're gonna destroy the Droon and seal them away forever. And Shasta was able to do it before her death.
And then Katara showed up.
Okay. Okay, well, I need my free sandwich now. But anyways, so she's like, so I'm trusting Amari now. And everyone's like, we'll never trust Amari. So Raya goes, okay, I'll take the first step, hands Amari her piece, and then she gets posed! Insta-Buddha pose!
Yeah.
But what's weird about what happens next is, aside from all the other things that are weird that are happening, everyone starts to trust her. That's not the weird part. But, like, the boat kid hugs Raya, but he's just turned into a statue of him hugging Raya. Not into the Buddha pose.
I know.
No one else in the entire rest of the story does this.
Well, the next two people do, though. The Tong and the
No. Okay. Every other time except for this time
Right.
in general. Sorry, I should have made that more specific.
So I'm going to guess that those are the only three characters who are not Buddhist. Everyone else is Buddhist, and these two people...
I'm an atheist. I'm a baby. I'm Roman Catholic. I'm Roman Catholic.
Right? Ask me where I got that, and picked it up on one of my boat adventures.
Yeah, don't you know?
To Italy.
Don't you know the Six Kingdoms? Fang, spine, heart, tail,
talon.
and talon, and Rome, and the Roman Empire, the Holy Roman Empire. Of course, I'm sorry.
Yeah. They are holy. They have a giant donut. You see.
So the only one left is Amari, who's left holding these shards of the dragon stone. And all I said to him was, "Wait, guys, I don't know how to put this back together. Do you have some glue
or magic?" Again, we are like changing the rules right at the end. It was never implied that humans could do any sort of magic until suddenly, I guess, if we really trust someone, like the magic of trust makes you able to put a dragon gem together again.
Which, I guess...
I mean, like, unless it was meant to be... No, we don't literally... Like, okay, if it had been just one person with all 5 stones, would they have been able to piece it together and be fine? Or is it like, literally, there needs to be a moment of trust happening for the trust magic to activate?
Yeah, it's not really clear. But, yeah, Amari puts them back together, and then she gets stoned. She gets turned to stone. I heard it as soon as I said it. But she gets turned to stone.
You know, the attitudes may be more relaxed than they once were, but that's still not going to be in a Disney film.
Oh my god, please. I don't care about the first gay character. Give me the first stoner character.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I want my first Disney heroine to be high as balls.
Okay. Anyway.
Dude, Jafar's like bad and stuff.
Turns to stone. And it looks like they're all defeated. The gem flickers out. I'm like, wow, imagine if it just ended here. That'd be so terrible.
Yeah,
But of course, the gem turns itself back on. It brings the holy rain that, like, turns everyone back to normal.
Except that, one, it looks like it's just washing the dust off of them, which makes me think, hey, wait a minute, did nobody just brush off some of these statues?
They were all just really dirty and standing very still.
Wait, also, how did it get people who were clearly inside?
Maybe someone walked by and splashed water on them off screen. Just like, oh crap, gotta get that guy. And also, it saves all the previously turned to stone dragons, which is wonderful, and I have no idea why that happened.
Yeah, I mean, why didn't it happen the first time? That was never explained.
Yeah, like, apparently it doesn't work on dragons, except now it does. Oh.
Was it because a human did it?
But that would imply that a dragon can help a human, but a human can help both species? For some reason?
I don't get it. But anyways, all the people go back to their families and stuff, and
we bring Sisu back from the dead, because we can do that, it turns out. Hey!
Yeah!
I didn't tell you, it's a thing we can do.
Yeah, despite the fact that her sacrifice was noble and, you know...
Yeah,
actually, no, it wasn't. It wasn't noble.
It was
pretty stupid.
It was not even a sacrifice, it just kind of happened. Sacrifice implied she did it on purpose. She was just kind of standing there. Oh, crap! Crossbow bolt.
Oh, and all of her brothers and sisters somehow all came back at just the right time and were with the rest of the dragons, despite having further to go. And none of them say a word!
Didn't want to hire any extra voice actors. I'm on to you, Disney.
And
This is like those triplets in, what's it called, Brave? Like, they should have said some words at some point. Someone was like, just don't bother.
So then Raya goes back to her dad, who's still on the bridge despite it being like days later, and he's dropped his staff that had a symbol
days
on
later.
it.
Maybe like everyone's really close to each other because It was a quick trip over to visit Hart, remember?
Okay, but even if it took like a couple hours,
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
he's still standing on the bridge and not going, huh.
I should get some
food. Last time I checked, it was night, and I was a statue, and I had an arrow in my leg. Did this heal my arrow wound?
It's a gargoyles thing. I
refuse to believe that unless the dad, like, burst out like a super over-dramatic way. Like,
roar to the white light in the eyes. Yeah.
Yeah. But still, he was standing there on the bridge with a flagpole for some reason.
I shall pick up this flagpole. First thing I've done in 6 years.
Yeah, I won't, which I'll tell you what the first thing any sane person would do. Bathroom! Dear God, where's the bathroom? Wait, if the rivers came back and all the people were fleeing out into the riverbed to get away from the drone, did they all drown?
They just get carried away. Someone has to go save them. Don't worry, we got a kid with the boat. He'll fix everything.
Don't worry, dragons are capable of bringing back the dead. They just choose not to do it for anyone but their own.
Jeez. Yeah, I don't know what the deal. I would say that maybe she wasn't dead, but clearly, like, her being dead is what triggered the absence of water. So,
So, then Raya shows up and they hug. Mulan did it better. And then it turns out that right behind the black, was like all the people from all the other nations who are suddenly super okay with getting along now.
I mean, they're grateful to the one that saved all their loved ones, so...
Okay, that's true, but, like, still... I don't know, it feels like some people would be like, hey, get those Fang assholes for
yeah.
I was a statue for 5 years.
Right.
I'm kind of pissed.
Yeah. I hope
but no,
everyone put some money in the stock market before that happens.
Everyone's super happy, and they all walk towards Heartland place.
Yeah.
But we don't actually see them go through it because, Shizu flies up into the sky and then flies into the camera, and then we go to the end credits scene. Then, after the credits, when Raya is, like, settling in for the night, suddenly all the candles go out. And a man with dark skin and an eye patch walks out and asks if she'd like to join the Avengers Initiative.
Yeah.
That is how every movie ends. Every movie ends with Nick Fury asking the main character if he'd like to join the Avengers Initiative.
Especially in movies that otherwise star Nick Fury. I mean, fricking, what's his name? Samuel Jackson.
Okay, so ultimately, this should have been a TV show.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it was so compressed as to become bad. It was a decent story. It was enjoyable. I liked it better than, say, Moana, for instance.
Oh, I liked it better than Moana.
More characters. Well. The motivations were clear. The plot was less random.
Less plot holes. Still plot holes. But less.
Yeah. Moana was trying for that epic moment where they confronted the villain at the end and, like, redeemed her. But, like, was there a theme of redemption in this thing at all? Right? As opposed to this, which was trying to build that theme the entire time. So,
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Also, Moana had the weird thing of, like, if the ocean can lift that stone, how come the ocean can't, like...
Put it back where it belongs, the stupid ocean.
To quote Mike and Sully from Monsters, Inc., put that thing back where it came from, or so help me, so help me.
You ever see the extended version of that from the DVD? Like,
yes, I have. I love it. It is amazing.
It was out of our head.
But anyways, but yeah, I feel it could have been extended. Even like a series of, like, mini-series, like what Battlestar Galactica pilot did.
Yeah. Or just make it like a one-season show, which I guess is a miniseries if you think about it.
Yeah. That would have been a little better. It would have helped with the pacing. Because honestly, it wasn't bad. The scenes individually were good. They just felt like they needed room to breathe a little more. Yeah.
It would be a greater sense of accomplishment if we'd had to deal with, like, everybody's politics and stuff along the way.
Yeah.
Basically, just make this more like Avatar. You have several nations at odds, and there's one quest that can potentially fix things, and one character from each of the tribes, and stuff like that. Everything's better when it's more Avatar.
Okay, yeah. Unless it's Korra.
Unless it's, the first 2 seasons, yeah.
Yeah, the first 2 were.
Yeah, they were good to make fun of.
Oh, yeah.
And then the 3rd season came along and we had way less to say. because it was good. Like, dang it, what are we going to do as reviewers now?
Be witty?
Be witty.
Nah. Anyways. But yeah, so should you see it? I don't know.
If you have Disney Plus, it's already free. So,
You know. Might be a good watch.
Yeah.
I guess, listen to a few reviews, see what you think. But anyways, I think we're just about done here. So, I'm Sith King.
I'm Song Sons.
Signing off.